Joining us today, Mr. Brandon Farris, the National Association of Manufacturers. We've seen a climate in this country over the past couple of years of 1 minute pro business. One, we kind of do things to kind of hamstring us. You see in certain parts of this country, businesses are leaving states because they're being hamstrung. They're being just been regulated out of business, making business hard to do. As we try to recover from some of the economic issues we've had, Brendan's going to be here to sit and talk with us about what the role of the EPA and these different policies are and how they affect the growth of our state and this country. Brendan, Mr. Ferris, welcome to the chat. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thank you very much for having me. Pleasure being on the show.
Thank you, sir. Brandon, we've seen it over the last couple of years. Businesses want to grow, they want to expand, they want to have a chance to employ and to help our communities by generating a good wage. But we've had some issues, especially with the new green policies that have come into effect that have
Hmm.
kind of hamstrung these businesses. The EPA and some of their issues. What does
Sorry,
this
I
mean
thought they were
moving
going to get
forward
here.
for the state of Texas about the growth of this state?
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And that's exactly what we're seeing from this administration is we're seeing environmental regulations that are making it very hard, if not impossible, to manufacture in the US. And that's one thing as a country, Republican, Democrat, we all agree we need to do more of. We need to make more semiconductors. We need to make more batteries. We need to make more of everything that we use and stop relying on other countries. And so it's, from one end, we're hearing, yes, we need to make more. And from the other end, we're hearing, but not here, but not here, but not here.
Hmm.
And so that's one of the reasons that we're on your show this morning is we wanted to raise the alarm on a particular EPA regulation on the PM 2.5. It's air quality. Think about fine microscopic particles. And we conducted a study with Oxford Economics on this regulation. And what we found is what we've been saying for years. Manufacturing in the US, amongst the cleanest in the world. I dare you to find much cleaner anywhere else. And yet we still are looking for ways to innovate and make it cleaner, but those jobs are important as well. And so we think that this regulation from EPA is going to tip the scales too far. Right now, we're at a level of 12. EPA wants to go to a level of 8. So basically, they want to cut 1/3 off of this. And when you go down that far, what you're talking about is you're talking about putting 40% of the US population in non-attainment. And that
Wow.
if you're in non-attainment, you're not building bridges, you're not building roads in that area. The a limit on your agriculture. There's limits everywhere. You're not building manufacturing facilities. So when you're in that area that's in non-attainment, you're stagnated. You're not creating new jobs. You're not building anything.
You know, just how much does that NAMI or not in my backyard attitude, just how much does that actually hurt? I mean, there has to be some compromise, isn't there?
There has to be some compromise because we want these products made in the US, but to your point, no one wants them in their backyard. They've got to go somewhere. And so that's exactly what we're talking about is we're talking about figuring out a way to do them to where it's not going to harm the environment,
Right.
but it's going to create jobs for everyone that's around.
Brendan, I'm sure part of your job is to discourage, refute some information that may not be wrong, that might be agenda driven information. One of the things I keep hearing, especially with the mandate of the new green policies of the want to have electric cars by this, we want to do this by this date, this day. You look at studies and you see that producing the batteries for those things or producing some of the stuff creates just as big a carbon footprint as what we're doing now. Is this a case of sometimes the feds overstepping or trying to overregulate stuff, especially with this air quality issue?
That's exactly what we've seen in several different areas. You mentioned the batteries and you mentioned what it takes to make them. And then we've got another problem for permit reform. We can't build anything in the US, much less. And so when it comes to building those batteries, we need to be able to get those critical minerals out. Right now, almost all the critical minerals are produced in China, or they're extracted and produced in China. And so if we really want to go all electric vehicle, which is where this administration's headed, what we need to do is be able to produce those critical minerals. There's a lot of raw materials that we need to bring back over here.
I agree. There is a lot that we can do right here at home. But when you start talking about some of these foreign countries, they don't seem to be cooperating with us. What does that mean on the global level? Again, we have to have some talking point on this with our international neighbors, do we not?
We absolutely do. So there are some nations that are clearly going to be friendly with us and figure out a way path forward. And then there's going to be nations like China who are they don't like what we've done on the semiconductors. They don't like the CHIPS bill.
Right.
They don't like the idea that we're going to make semiconductors here. So at every chance they get, they're going to turn off our tap to raw materials. But we can work with the EU. We can work with other countries, and should, and absolutely should. But there are going to be some countries that control these minerals that aren't going to want the U.S. to have access to them.
Brendan, how can we as citizens and encouragers, because we see this over the past 18 or so many months, you've seen a exodus from places like California. People are coming to more business-friendly states. What can we do as the normal everyday citizen to partner with your organization, or to get an understanding of this air rule and how much it can affect communities, jobs, factories, growth in our country?
Absolutely. Appreciate that. So what we're seeing is that this rule, if it goes all the way down to 8 that EPA is talking about, it's going to put nearly 1 million jobs at risk, nearly 200 billion in economic activity. So what we're asking folks is talk to your congressional officials, talk to your state officials, and say, we believe in clean air, but this is too far. It goes too far without an offsetting benefit. And if you want to learn more about us, the National Association of Manufacturers, you can go to nam.org, and you can learn more about this regulation, and you can learn more about how we're fighting against it.
Sometimes things don't land on the front page or get the big radar. This is one of those type stories. When we start talking about inequality, things like that, it's not the big sexy, it's not the big scandalous, but when it comes down to it, our economy is banking on this.
Right.
And that's where we need to shore up our issues right now in our country. Is our economy. It's on a perilous spot right now. Brandon is with the National Association of Manufacturers, and they want you to wake up and look around and see what's going on and see how regulations are going to affect you going down the line. Like you said, if they go to this 8 number, you said about 1 million jobs will be affected across
nearly 1 million jobs and nearly 200 billion in economic activity.
And it's all about the growth,
right?
Isn't we are trying to grow.
Absolutely.
And that's the key. We'll put this up on our website, the information on how you can contact your legislator, how your vote can count toward being business positive, and how you can help out a group like the National Association of Manufacturers. Mr. Farris, thank you for the great information. Thank you for taking time for us today. Absolutely.
Thank you both very much, and hope you have a great day.
You too. Be careful out there. We'll take a quick break. We're back with more chat right here on Newsday Amarillo and News Channel 10-2.